Let's look at this bravery coming from the youth in Eboyin State, of course, in chasing away the Fulani herdsmen from their locality. Of course, this is a hot chase, but I will allow you to watch the video. But the point here is, I think going forward, the states in the southern part of the country should start enacting laws to prohibit open grazing. And the side that we saw is similar thing in Benue and Ekiti State before, but I think it's the way to go, so that let everybody go and ranch his cow. Since issue of cattle rearing have become a menace to the society, since it has become a source of crime and criminality and disturbance in the community. So anyone that wants to rear cow should go and ranch his cow. But let me allow you to watch the video as we come back to further this conversation.
Here can never be a Enugu. Here can never be a Enugu state. Look at them. I don't believe. Oye we bule. Oye we bule. Here no be Enugu state. Here come here. Move it. Move. Go there pursue your cow. Go there control your cow. Move it. Move it. I go wipe your head now. Move it. Come. Come on, move it also. Move it. Fulani go. Fulani. Thunder fire you people. Thunder fire you people. Now. Move it. Fulani. Thunder fire you people. When I spoil people farm. Anyhow. Move it. Kaunde ke onye. Ndeka bo Fulani na. Can they like that front? Make it go front. Na Fulani. Make it go front na. Na Fulani be this. Oh. Na them. Una the spoil people farm. Una the spoil people farm anyhow. Come on, move it also. Come on, move it also. Move it also. Una. Come on, move it. Una the spoil people farm. Huh? The spoil people farm. Plus, on a the carry gun, sir. Move it. Come on, move it. They go quick. You know where? You say you know where? You know where? You carry cow. You know where?
Another people something they spoil them.
They spoil their farm.
For all those ones they spoil.
I don't know whether I don't mess stuff. This place they smell. Hey, the phone. Now holy nation. Now they will enter for our place. They do it here. No be Enugu state. We have to say I go rep women. Collect this stick. They took them inside Nash.
Who work for Nash?
When I still here in Enugu.
Go for me.
You know, say God exist, Abi. I'm a Juba man bargain now.
So having watched the video, I understand that this is not the first time we are seeing such a eviction notice, or rather people evicting Fulani herdsmen for their localities. Even if you say people have right of movement, just like some people argue, does right of movement extend to right of cattle movement? Do cattle have right of movement? Freedom of movement? But the point here is, if not for the excesses of Fulani militias and Fulani herdsmen, I don't think anybody will be asking anybody to live in locality, because this is not the first time the Fulani militias, the Fulani cattle rearing didn't start today. They have been living and moving around in localities before now. But the point is, as soon as the activities become a threat to livelihood, that is where people become uncomfortable having them in their localities. That is why if you want rear cow, go and ranch it. Because I understand that in the past, under the last administration of Muhammadu Buhari, the then government made so much effort to even use government money to bankroll ranching. And most Nigerians, particularly in southern states, were not comfortable in bringing out land for ranching. Even as attractive as it was, because federal government was ready to bring out money to do it. We only saw so much concerted effort from that government in trying to even make laws that look as if they want to cover space for the Fulani. Talking about the issue of water resources bill, which of course was roundly rejected by Nigerians because people saw it as a means of taking over all the waterfront for the purpose of allocating it to Fulani herdsmen. We only have the issue of Ruga, which didn't see the light of the day because it turned out that Ruga was a Fulani settlement, and that the whole essence is to cover space for the same Fulani. And the way it is, any land you give to Fulani, whether through ranching, whether through any means, of course, they already see it as their ancestral home. The point here is, if this is the reason we are even seeing so much push from the north for a northern candidacy, for a northern president, I think the north must have a rethink. Because certainly, the south must complete their 8 years in Asura. But again, if you even cast your mind back to the statement that came from Kawu Baraje, how Fulani militias came into the country prior to 2015 election, how they were brought in for the purposes of that 2015 election, and that after the election, they refused to go back. How they came from Sierra Leone, Niger, and all of that neighboring states. So you got to show that the North are actually architects, or rather the Fulanis are the architect of the problem we're having. Because considering the fact that the Fulani militias were not original Fulanis in Nigeria, that they were brought in for the purpose of election of 2015. So you begin to ask, why is the North bringing this level of problem to everybody in the country? And as it is, it's a matter of urgency. As a matter of urgency and necessity, the government needs to be more serious because we are dealing with a very formidable force. You understand that even in the time of the governor of Benue State, Samora Otom as governor, there was an assassination attack on his life, where a group that goes by the name of Fulani Naturality Movement came out to claim responsibility. So you're going to show that we are dealing with a very formidable force that the government must possess monopoly of coercive power to deal with. And I'm of the view that it is even a certain president that have the effrontery, that will have the boldness to do it. Because currently we understand that even the national chairman of Metiala, talking about Bodejo, is in custody of federal government because he was accused of banditry. Though initially he was equally accused of forming a vigilante group, arming them without the consent of federal government. At the point, after being charged to court, the office of the Attorney General of Federation stepped in and withdrew the case. But currently, he's still in custody of federal government. But the question is, why are they having this level of boldness, effrontery in issues of this nature? Because I understand that sometime last year, the same Metiala approached Southeastern governors proposing to float security outfit or rather vigilante group in the southeastern part of the country. So you begin to wonder, in a region that is alien to you, you are approaching the governors that you want to initiate vigilante group. For me, that's the highest level of affront, the high level of insult. You equally note with concern this approach of Fulani militias in Plateau, for instance, because currently the Senate Committee on Constitutional Review going around getting input proposals from different regions with regard to the amendment of the Constitution. that when they got to Plateau State and the Plateau governor, talking about Mufwang, made a proposal for state police, it is disheartening that the Fulani in that state, talking about Mietiala in that state, still rose to say no, we are against state police. You begin to wonder. Because everybody have agreed that there is need to reject the security architecture. Everybody have agreed that the current security arrangement is not working. Everybody have agreed that the current command and control system that comes from top to bottom is not working. Everybody have agreed that the all crime is local. And as such, it should be addressed from the local point of view. Now, if you have state police, definitely the locals will be recruited into it. The traditional rulers that have the moral authority over the people will be integrated into it. And for me, it will give us the necessary result we need. Because you have a situation where intelligence gathering has become a problem, to the extent that even the bandits themselves, the terrorists themselves, will even gather intelligence that will pay off against Nigerian state. Whereas it's becoming difficult for even the Nigerian government to gather intelligence against them. Because if you look at the burning down of Mariti military base, how they perfected it, there is no better way to say it. They would have had an actionable intelligence that paid off. And they would have had some inner persons who were giving them such intelligence. That is why, because of, I often say that the North is a problem of all these issues. Because if you look at the statement that came from a House of Assembly, a former House of Assembly member from Borno State, because according to him, before the 2015 election, the Jonathan government was already winning the war against Boko Haram. Because when the issue of election was on, there was so much debate, conversation around the inability of Jonathan's government to fight insurgency, particularly Boko Haram. So Jonathan was desperate to solve the problem. He went and brought in missionaries. And according to this former House of Assembly member from Borno State, that the missionaries were doing fantastically well, that they were almost finishing Boko Haram, that they were no more than 30, and that they were leveraging on technology, locating the position, the location of the terrorists, identifying their number in terms of their strength, identifying their weapon, and all of that. And that after all the analysis, they go for precision bombing. And that when they want to go toward the bombing, they are no more than 3 in number. And that when they get there, they take the video evidence of the scene before and after. Both the shots, photograph, before and after, and they come back with the evidence. And unfortunately, when the body came in, the body jettisoned the whole idea, send the machineries packing, and today we are in the trenches again. So it is quite disturbing. Another issue has to do with even reintegrating repented Boko Haram members into Nigerian army. In the first place, I'm of the view that there is no point even negotiating, reintegrating, having amnesty for terrorists. Because to do so is to say that those military personnel who are dying in the course of fight against insurgency, their life is not valued. Yes. Because what the government needs to do as a matter of urgency and necessity is to put them monopoly of coercive power to deal with them, arrest them, prosecute them, to act as deterrent to others, not reintegrating them. Because we saw the video that came out recently where you can clearly see a support repentant Boko Haram who was caught as a rap ammunition around his waist, which he reportedly intended to send to his colleagues in the bush. And this is support repentant Boko Haram. So I think it best go to show that the statement that came from the former governor of Kaduna State, talking about Erufai, that there's nothing that repented bandits, that the only bandit that have repented is one that have died. I think I go with that statement. That his own ideology is to disalive them and send them to their creator who have the ultimate power to judge them. That is why I'm even calling on federal government to stop any idea of negotiating with the likes of Toji Bello, to stop any idea of negotiating with the likes of Ada Aleru, who of course I understand have a bounty of 5 million on his head. The military should rather be empowered, strengthened to go after them. Just as we heard with this excitement, the news of taking out the cousin of Toji Bello, who doubled as his field commander. I think the same fate should be for every other bandit leader or bandit member, because these are people who have no value for human life. These are because the Bible says that there is no peace for the wicked. So if the government is negotiating with them, for me, it is saying that those military personnel who are dying in the hands of these bandits, in the hands of these terrorists, is a way of saying their life have no value. So for me, the best approach, the best bet is for the government to strengthen the armed forces to get at them. That is why we should look towards community policing, community-based policing. That is why I am going for the approach, or rather the initiative of the Director General of DSS, who have advised that the communities should be empowered to be the first line of defense in issues like this. I think it's the way to go. Because we have equally seen successes recorded by communities in different parts of the country recently. We saw the one that came from Abraka and Delta State, where the community rose and defeated Fulani bandits. We equally saw a similar thing in Washiku recently. So we are seeing more of it. We actually we saw the last one that came from Kwara State recently, where the indigenes, the locals, arrested a handful of them. I think the more recent came from Kasana State, of course, where a bandit leader was arrested. And apart from that, we only saw a community leader who was alleged to have link with the bandits equally arrested. But I think the communities, ultimately, the locals need to be integrated into the security arrangement. Because if you ask me, I would say that the issue of insecurity, fighting it, needs a symbiotic relationship, synergy between the three arms of government, one, and ultimately the locality, and particularly the traditional rulers. Because the issue of divulging information is another big challenge. Because in most cases, the communities, the locals, have some level of actionable intelligence at their disposal. And it becomes difficult because the confidence may not be there for them to divulge such information. But if they are integrated into it, the channel of information dissemination will be easier, since they are traditional rulers who, of course, is the moral standard over the people will be involved in the security arrangement. So once you get to that level, you see that intelligence will be flowing, and once intelligence starts flowing, you see that it will become easier for crime to be nipped in the bud. If the terrorists plan an attack, and before they carry out the operation, the security agency gets wind of it, they know their hideout, and they go there, take them out. I think it's the best approach to fighting all this level of insecurity, better than what we are doing currently. But meanwhile, let me say very big thank you for your time. This is Lamida and I'm so much.